Okay, everyone, we've got a great guest today. Michael Bates works with Mina, a high-end distributed restaurant with what, 35 restaurants?
35 currently, yes, sir.
35 restaurants around the United States. And my question, the reason I wanted to bring on Michael is to understand how do you keep such high level individuals? They're all frontline. Everyone in a restaurant is. How do you keep them on and how do you keep that standard and scale like you're doing? And so, Michael, why don't you give you a little background about yourself, how you got into recruiting and what you're up to these days and how this seems to be working?
Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate you inviting me on the program this morning. So first of all, my name is Michael Bates, Talent Acquisition Manager with the Mina Group. I've been with Chef Michael Mina now for just under 5 years. I'll be 5 years next month. And we're an exciting group. We are a high-end, as Jonathan mentioned, restaurant group. We currently have 35 active restaurants across the United States. We have 2 international locations. We're in Dubai and also Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We do have some specialty licensing projects. We're on the second and third ship of the Ritz-Carlton Yacht Collection. Really exciting times for our group. We are continuing to expand as well. We are on pace to open between 4 to 7 restaurants a year for the next 4 to 5 years, continuing to expand both domestically and internationally. So really exciting times with our group.
And I
Um,
think what's interesting is scaling. You always hear restaurants that have a high propensity to fail, and it's for so many other reasons, but also operations and keeping the brand true over time is incredibly hard. So how do you guys manage that from a recruiting aspect too?
So from a recruiting aspect, we market ourselves as a restaurant management company. So we do have a handful of owned operations, but our most recent openings in the last couple of years have been restaurant management agreements. We'll go to Ritz-Carlton, we'll go to Four Seasons, we'll go to Marriott, and we'll pitch our brand as our company will manage the restaurant. So
Yep.
they put the capital behind the refurbishment of the room, or if they're building a new hotel, building the restaurant from the ground up, and then we'll come in and manage the restaurant from HR on down, depending on how the deal is made. From a recruiting standpoint, though, we have currently 3 recruiters on our side. And what we do is we take a very hands-on approach. We don't use we don't have a system that pre-screens your resume before it comes to our desk. We review every applicant in person, on paper, and make decisions from there. So when you apply to a role with Mina Group, your resume will come to either my desk or my 3 coworkers' desks, and we'll review that resume in person, line by line. If you meet the standards for the role, what we'll do is we'll invite you to a video interview, very similar to what Jonathan and I are doing here. We use a
Yep.
system called Team Tailor. That's our ATS system. And we'll do a Team Tailor interview on video and discuss very basic information about the role and really dive into the culture of our company and what we will bring to you as an individual joining our group rather than try to sell you a job.
Yep.
A couple big things that we offer is we have 2 incredible programs that we offer to our employees. One's called Mina Exchange, which is houses every recipe that any chef in Mina Group, including Chef Michael himself, has created. So you can go in on Christmas Eve and you want to make Michael's lobster pot pie, you can pull the recipe up and work with your family and make it happen. Get all the recipes to our steaks and specialty dishes and things like that. Another amazing program that we have is called Miniversity. Miniversity is our digital learning system where the line level employee all the way up to executive chef or general manager, all of our SOPs in this system, our corporate chef will do little tutorial videos on how to slice Wagyu, things like that. It's available to you both mobile and on a desktop computer. So employees can learn on their own and gain skills, whether it be in the beverage world, whether it be in the culinary world, or whether it just be front of house overall guest experience information. Those are 2 incredible things that we offer to employees. Another thing that we do is we have an extensive onboarding program that's hands-on. So we'll bring in a member of our corporate team, and for a leadership role, we'll be with you for 4 weeks, going through line by line of very detailed onboarding agenda. And then that trickles down to our hourly employees as well. We are a family-owned company, we're not public, and we treat our employees that way. Chef Mina is extremely involved. He's not a name on a menu cover. He's in the daily operations. 4 to 5 meetings with Chef Mina a week myself,
Yep.
discussing different things. Those meetings include leadership career pathing for individuals, or actually go through every individual in a restaurant and talk about where they want to be. Do I have a host who wants to be a captain? Do I have a server who wants to be a restaurant manager? And how do I get them there? And what do we need to do from a corporate level, which then trickles
Yeah.
back down to the restaurant level? So those are all things that we really focus on. And that just leads to longevity with employees.
So how did you, and I'm sure a lot of this has come in the last 5 years while you guys have been building this too, but you had to have had your fingers in a lot of this stuff before because it just didn't happen because you have to be inquisitive. Your matchup with Chef Mina had to come because you guys saw aligned on retention's an issue of training and culture and hiring for culture and that fit and that vision instead of the McDonald's, hey, you're going to be here for 90 days. So
Yeah,
how did that come about? Like what was your background to pull that together?
sure. I'm an alumni of Johnson Wales University. I went to the Providence campus, graduated with a degree in sports event and entertainment management, of all things, back in
Yeah.
2007. Those were interesting years.
So that was entertaining, huh?
So not a lot of career opportunity out there at that time. So
Yeah.
I got my start really right out of college. I was very thankful. I got my first role in hospitality at the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin as a restaurant manager at their 3 meal a day restaurant called Garden Grove. Flash forward, I moved out to Vegas in 2013. I worked with MGM Resorts International, specifically at the Mandalay Bay campus. I was a director. I started as food and beverage division training manager, which really focused on compliance, having to teach people how to use a fire extinguisher, all the really important things when things happen.
Yeah.
And then from there, I was able to get the role of food and beverage director of administration. And that really then focused on hiring and overseeing some onboarding processes with that, mainly focused on the MGM Resorts International internship program called Manager Assistance Program. With that, really got me involved in recruiting from a college level, that the green, the eager, the passion is still there. They haven't done their first round of 18-hour shifts. So getting that was a great start. I actually met Chef Mina there. Chef Mina has a restaurant called Strip Steak at Mandalay Bay. That's where I first
Been
got
there,
my
been there a
introduction.
couple.
That's
Yeah.
where I first got my introduction to Chef Mina. And then flash forward, COVID happened, the world went crazy. I had stayed in communication with a couple people who transitioned to working with Chef Mina and was able to jump on board with him, learning more about the company and the group that he was growing. As I said, we've been opening restaurants, 4 to 5 restaurants a year. We've already opened 1 this year. We have 4 more on the calendar for this year, as long as construction stays on track. Just an incredible time. Really, with the talent management, we've really just taken a step back. 5 years ago, our plan was to open a bunch of owned restaurants, and that changed a lot. We start
Yeah.
our recruiting
Yeah.
process 12 to 14 months in advance. So what we'll do is when we find out, hey, we're looking at a project in Charlotte, North Carolina, our team, the recruiting team, will go in and we'll do a market research. So we'll look at comp set. We'll look at who's our competitors in the market. We'll dive into trying to find everything from pay rates to the top 10 restaurants on Yelp. We'll look at reviews.
Yeah.
We'll look at distance to the restaurant, and we'll really start to build out a plan from there. And then the biggest thing is with those video interviews that we do, even the folks who don't join, the insight that we gain from having those conversations in person. One of the questions I always ask is, how do you handle staffing issues in your market? And the information I learned from general managers and executive chefs who are in that market, just based on that question alone, guides us, helps us guide the path to get the best person, best talent available.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's interesting because your sourcing is so hands-on and you start off early. So it's actually a discovery process for the business operations too.
Yeah, our plan is to bring on our executive chef and our GM 6 months prior to opening, not only for training purposes and to be able
Yep.
to get them immersed into the brand that they're going to be joining under, whether it be Bourbon Steak or Pabu or Aqua Bisteca. We'll bring them into an active restaurant, have them see the operation in person. And then when we get closer to opening, we'll bring them back to their market to be involved hands-on in hourly staffing, hiring events, career fairs, college visits, and have them part of that process where they're building their own team, where I think a lot of folks are being handed a team and saying, here's your
Yeah.
people, make magic happen. Whereas we want that to happen organically. We want the GM to know the host, to know the hostess and feel comfortable with the hostess and have that relationship with them before the doors even open. And that just makes
Yeah.
that opening night so much better.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've been an entrepreneur for, I don't even, I don't know, my entire career, other than maybe 24 months in my 30 years of corporate of working. And whenever I see some of these shows about restaurants and you see, when you see the chef as the owner, it's so totally different than you see as someone who is the manager of the restaurant, because it's that same thing as that entrepreneurial side is they've got to choose their team. They come in with their own set of criteria, what works for them. And then it's almost like here you're coming in and you're putting a CEO on something that's there's so many parts. It's really hard, and every single market's different, and every single type of consumer is different in that market. So, yeah, it's really interesting to hear how you guys do that and use the recruiting as part of that business development and operations part.
Yeah, we also come at it from another angle. We come at our market research too with the employee in mind. For instance, we just opened a restaurant. Our most recent opening was Aqua Bisteca in Bonita Springs, Florida. It's in between Naples and Fort Myers. So how do I get the person in the middle who's not in the resorts in the big cities? And how do I draw people from those big cities to come to Bonita Springs? So
Yep.
with that being said, we look at everything from the market around the restaurant. Where are people living? Where's my dishwasher going to live? How far away
Yeah.
is my dishwasher? And then how does my dishwasher get from A to B and then home at 3 a.m. when I do a private event? Is there Uber? Is there buses? Are there trains?
Yep.
What's the commute like? You can Google map it. It will say Naples to Bonita Springs is 30 minutes. Naples to Bonita Springs in reality in traffic is 2.5 hours. So
Yeah.
those are all
And the bridge that goes all the way around.
exactly.
So if you don't factor that in, they're not 5 minutes that close.
We look at from just a real life. What is your real life day going to be like? What do I need to do, whether it be pay rate, whether it be family meal? What benefit do I provide you for making that sacrifice to come work for me? If you're going to
Yeah.
drive 2.5 hours to start a 10-hour shift, to then drive 2.5 hours home, what do I need to do to make that worthwhile for you and make it be meaningful? So those are all things that I think one thing that we do is we look at things from the other side of the business and look at it from the
From the
employees.
employees' windows, yeah. That's interesting too. I know it's different from Vegas because it's so spread out. There's so many people there. And when you're going into these small towns, it's a totally different, I wouldn't say necessarily small towns, but different areas that you're just not natively close to. Because you could open 20 restaurants in Vegas that's the same population pool. You can't do that in Naples. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've had some of those. We have a restaurant just outside of Sun Valley, Idaho. That's a very
Oh,
interesting
yeah.
market up there. The seasonality of certain markets, Delray Beach, Florida, those are all areas where we really have to focus and understand how those cities work. It's not Vegas. It's not 365, 24/7.
Yeah.
They have a March to May window where people are there during spring break and then they leave. So really working with both our culinary teams and our restaurants to understand the local market. And we're anywhere between 60 to 75% of our menus in most of our restaurants are Mina Group staples. If you go to Bourbon Steak in Los Angeles, you can find the same menu item in Bourbon Steak, New York, Steak Miami.
Yeah.
The other 25 to 30% of the menu, we leave open to the culinary team and the restaurant to talk to their regulars, talk to the folks that come in more often. Is there something that is a specialty item? Using the term specialty item loosely, is there an item that we want to keep on the menu more regular for people to come in? Not everybody can come in and enjoy a $300 meal 3 times a week, right? So how do we
Yeah.
keep them coming in on the more regular basis? We've really focused on the experience too, anywhere from sunset sips where it'll be come watch the sunset over a bay and have a glass of champagne and a small bite to working with the local Lululemon store to do yoga outside and mimosas in the morning. So we
Yeah.
really focus on what experiences we can bring folks as well, rather than just your standard fine dining restaurant.
You know what's interesting about this? My last couple of podcasts, I've been talking to a lot of CHROs, and I found the same things happening with TA leaders. The more and more I talk to the higher you are in the organization as a leader, I think this is becoming a truth that I've never heard anyone talk about, is that you have to see there's always this concern is, hey, how do I get a seat at the table? You don't get the seat. You take the seat. And you take the seat by learning every seat in the table. The operations, like you're saying, is the culture, what's the chef's role? You have to understand those pieces before you get one seat.
And that's one thing. Our general managers and our executive chefs are peers. They don't report to one another. We have a director of culinary and a director of operations who the executive chef and the GM report to, and all of them are on numerous weekly meetings. They're on site. They're working together. Our executive chef is probably 60% in the kitchen on the expo line and 40% in the dining room, either doing tableside tomahawk or Chef Mina's lobster pot pie tableside, or talking to guests. We celebrate our regulars. We celebrate our VIPs as any company would do. And with that, we provide experiences where we take ample notes on our note-taking system. I think for our hosts is probably one of the best in the industry, where we have multiple levels of VIP status, right? Or regular status. And with that, we'll get down to the minutia of, he wants a Grey Goose martini with blue cheese olives, and I can have that on your table before you sit down, just to start your night off the right way. They like this type of Chardonnay, I can have it ready for you. And all those notes are printed right before you even get to your table. So we're already working on things. We know you like amuse-bouche. We know you like this dish. All those things are in the works to just allow us to do little things along your experience with us to just elevate it. And look at it as an example. I forget the gentleman's name now, but the owner of the Savannah Bananas, the baseball team, right? He always looks at everything as like fan forward, fan first, everything. That's what we're guest first. We know that we can cook you a great steak. We know that the food that you're going to get is going to be stellar no matter where you go. But what is the experience that you're going to get is what we truly focus on.
Yeah. So here's the question. What would you say your retention rate is compared to the rest of restaurants? So there's going to be your level of restaurants and then other restaurants, and let's say fine dining. Where do you think you guys are in your retention compared to your peers?
I would say our retention is pretty good. Obviously, there are challenges, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, with the way our contracts work, when we bring somebody on, for instance, in Bourbon Steak, New York, it's at the Essex House Hotel, which is part of Marriott, JW Marriott. Yep. So as an employee you're employed by Marriott, but you work both with Mina Group and the food and beverage team at the hotels. Obviously, with that, we're able to pitch the benefits of you're a Marriott employee, you get all the Marriott benefits. There's a lot that you get: room rates, you get extended PTO, all the things you get there. Laundry service. Some of our restaurants, as an hourly employee, you're part of unions in certain markets, like Bourbon Steak, San Francisco. So there's a lot of benefits that we're able to do. So those, I think, also help us with retention. And then the flip side is the training. You get like a Walt Disney World, right? You get to put a celebrity chef on your resume. You get Michael Mina's name. You get Mina Group. And then the training that we provide. One big thing that we really pitch to our leaders is, again, I go back to the fact that Chef Mina is so involved in our daily operation. He will be in an operation 6 days a week. Obviously, he has his travel schedule and he's traveling a bunch, but he is always in a restaurant and he's working in a restaurant. There are a number of times where I'll be at openings and one of us will have to go in the kitchen and remind the chef that he has to come out and shake hands and kiss babies and do the thing, right? He'd much rather be in the back on the grill with the guys and gals whipping up the great food that he does and working with the team in the kitchen. So our retention, with the fact that you get hands-on training, not only from our amazing culinary operations team corporately, but then also with Chef Mina himself, is one thing that really attracts people. We also promote very much from within. We're launching a new project. I'll talk about a new project with my internal team at all of our restaurants a month, 2 months, 3 months before that project even gets released publicly, and let them know, here's the mark. Like I said, we do a weekly leadership career pathing call. We'll all go through every single member of our restaurants on the leadership side, from restaurant manager to GM, from sous chef to exec chef. and talk about what was the latest conversation you had with them? Where do they want to go? Is their family looking to move in 2 years? What market are they going to? Are we opening in that market? Can they be the next exec sous or the next exec chef there? And then it gives me a 24-month or less plan to go, okay, I know I want him in Charlotte. So how do I get him from here to there? How do I get him ready
Yep.
to do that?
Yep.
Obviously, I love it. It also is working myself out of a job if I promote from within, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. But then you're just doing talent management, which is even better.
exactly.
Right. So you're not out. You're, I mean,
And I think
and the
that's the
structure
one thing
continues to
that,
work. Yeah.
yeah, that's the one thing in TA. I think people, it's always about like finding the next best person. We have 35 of the greatest people in the industry. We just need to plug and play and move them around to make things work better and then train the next generation. So that's what we really look at too with longevity is it doesn't stop when you sign your offer letter as an external candidate. I want to get you from where you signed to the next level. One thing I ask every interview is where do you want to be? And a lot of people will say, oh, I want to be a director. I want to be a VP. I want to have the 9 to 5 later on in career. Great. I'll work with you to get you there. One thing I think a lot of people hesitate on and go, oh, I just need you to really do the 16-hour days every holiday in the restaurant. I don't want you to be a director.
I want you to be
but
a
that's one thing
doer.
that really
Yeah. So I have to hire somebody else.
exactly.
This has been great because I think there's so many things, and especially this last point about the talent management piece is my guess is your retention numbers are way higher because what you're talking about with the training and even the benefits and the matching and the career pathing. I don't know how many people working at high-end teams even talk to corporate. It's, oh, I'm just over here. I'm another pawn in the chess game. So I think, yeah, that's really interesting. And it's great perspective to hear how you guys are doing that with frontline interviews and videos and keeping that the pulse is on you guys interviewing them and understanding what they're about and not really selling much other than here's our brand, here's the training, here's the stuff, and this is what we're committed to.
The ability to have a conversation like you and I are having is much more fluid and rather than going, tell me about your last role. You don't learn anything from that. I want to know
Yeah.
you. I want to know where your passion lies. I want to know what you're looking to accomplish in your life for your family. And I want to see if we can be a match for that. And we carry that through the interview process. And that's what when we're working with Marriott and Four Seasons and Ritz and some of the larger hotel groups, our interview process will always take the lead on the interview process. And then I'll pass a candidate off to Marriott and say, this is what they've accomplished so far. Let's just wrap this up. Let's tie a bow on it and make everybody happy and go home. And because of our approach where I don't want them to take that, for lack of a better term, scary assessment where you don't know what to click. You don't know if it's behavioral. You don't know what they're looking for. You don't know if they're looking at your face now with all this AI technology. If you blink too much,
Or if they're
gonna
real,
throw you out,
right?
We all want to do a good job. We all have families to support. We all have people that we love and care about. And that starts with Chef Mina. And that's really how he's formed this group and been able to attract that talent. Look, we're in hospitality. The passion that we have is the passion that we're searching for. And it's amazing how many times I hear from folks that they're looking to get out of the mundane. They're looking to get out of the recipe books. They're looking to get out of the same routine every day. I come in, I do this checklist, I do this checklist, I cook dinner service, I do inventory, I go home. There's so much more that we offer and so much more from both a personal creative standpoint, as I mentioned, with that the team on the ground has the ability to work on. Go to the farmer's market on Saturday morning, buy some fresh ingredients and whip something up. We've had those things happen where now there's staple menu items with us. We want the team to be able to do those things. I want a general manager to go out in their local market and find that. Like I mentioned, the Lululemon thing with morning yoga and the mimosas. We want those types of ideas to drive business because all that does is, as you said, at the end of the day, revenue. But I
Yeah.
want it organically. I want it to be an experience. I don't want to force something into our guests or onto our
Yeah.
guests.
Oh, this has been amazing. And I'll give you the video because I think you just created the best career employer branding video interview of yourself if you want it. Because I think this is,
I would love it. Yes.
yeah,
I would love to share it with the team.
yeah, because it's
Mm.
not, this whole thing just to me is, and I'm so deep in AI in recruiting because I'm a tech guy. But what you're talking about, there was the only technology you guys used was a video interview.
We use a video
Yeah.
interview. We'll say we use Predictive Index as just a benchmark. It's not
Yep.
pass fail. It doesn't boot anybody out. It's just to
Yep.
see where they land. But we've tried, we've dabbled with AI, but I bring it back to that human connection. I think,
Yeah.
like you and I, but kicked off, it's pretty fluid. We understand each other. We understand where we're coming from. It's those types of conversations where you really learn the most of people rather than, I don't want to have to learn how to be A over B minus B equals, he's a promoter. I don't know
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
how do you promote? What do you do? Where do you go? Just look, those
Yeah.
are the conversations I want to have with people.
Yeah. That's amazing. So if someone wants to find you guys, spell out the name and the career site, because I was on there earlier today. It looked amazing, the career site and all. It looks like you guys done a fantastic job on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can visit our career page at www.theminagroup, MINA group.com/careers. You can also see all of our restaurants, all of our markets are listed on there. So that would be where to find us. Also, I will definitely share my contact information. Jonathan, you're happy to
Yep.
put that up at the end, or if
Yep.
you can throw that on a slide, that would be fantastic. And feel free to reach out to me with any interest as well.
We'll put all that stuff in the notes and the career site too, because just amazing stuff. And yeah, just thanks again. It's great to hear about how leaders are doing this stuff, and decentralized recruiting is, it's almost like I'd say it's a wishing well for some people in the industry, because doing it well, you just don't get to hear about companies who have done it that way. You hear about the cookie cutter, 100,000 people this year, and they use an RPO to go like through the process. But you can't scale that up at in high service, high scale industries, right?
Correct.
With hospitality. So thank you so much. This has been great. And hopefully I'll see you at one of the restaurants soon.
Absolutely. Let me know. Be more than happy to host you. Thanks, Jonathan. I appreciate
All
it.
right. Thank you.
Thanks for spending your time here with GoHire Talks and listening to our guests. My intention has always been to create incredible content to help you in your career in recruiting, marketing, business, and leadership. We appreciate all of the insights and feedback you provide. If you've got guests you'd like us to have on the show, please let us know. Again, thank you for all your support.